example 3 deals with an equation with two distinct real roots. So we look at the question or the prompt. It says, if the equation 2x squared plus 5x minus the quantity 3k plus 4 equals 0, if that has two distinct and real roots, find the range of values of k. So let's look. So we have the equation 2x squared plus 5x minus 3, the quantity minus 3k plus 4. If that equals 0 and it has the two real and distinct roots, what's the range? So the big key here is it's talking about range. Well, if we know that we have two real and distinct roots, that is going to mean that b squared minus 4ac is going to be greater than 0. So now we're dealing with a range of values. That's that greater than instead of being equal to. So it wants us to find the range of k. So we want to apply this specifically to the problem that we had. So b represents the number of x's, a represents the number of x squareds, and c represents whatever is left over. So again, we use this to help figure out other stuff for ourselves. So b squared is going to be 5 squared. We then have minus 4 times 2. Now, you have some options for this last part. The last part, be careful with this because it's negative 3k plus 4. So you could write negative 3k plus 4 in there, make sure you have the brackets, but I'm going to go ahead and distribute it to make it a little simpler for myself. I'm going to go ahead and call this negative 3k minus 4. And this is just going to make things easier for me in a minute. So I don't have to do a couple of different things. And we know that that is going to be greater than 0. Okay, so notice what I did at this point here. I went ahead and distributed this negative into each of these parts, just to make things a little simpler for myself. Now I would need to figure out, go ahead and keep simplifying. Work with this. This is my scaffold. This is what I know is true, and I've applied the specifics for the problem there. So 5 squared makes 25. I then have negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8, and I have to multiply that negative 8 by each of these parts. Okay, so remember, I have to distribute it to each part. So negative 8 times negative 3 makes a positive 24k. Don't forget the k. And then I have negative 8 times negative 4, and that's going to make a positive 32. And that is greater than 0. Okay, because that's the specifics of the problem. We're just copying everything straight down. All we're doing is simplifying right there. So at this point, we need to go ahead and continue to simplify. So 25 and 32 together make 57. And then I have my 24k. And that's greater than 0. So now what I need to do is figure out the range of k. So to do this, when you just have a single variable, not squared, or you don't have multiple versions of it, we're going to go ahead and move everything to one side and try to isolate it. So I'm going to try to move this 57 over. I'm going to get 24k is going to be greater than negative 57. Okay? And then now to finally simplify everything, I'm going to divide by 24. If I have 24k's and I want 1, I need to divide by 24. Don't subtract, right? You want to divide it out. So if we divide by 24 on each side, I'm going to be left with k is greater than negative 57 divided by 24. So you may say, oh goodness, that is a really weird number. I must have done something wrong. Well, no. You need to just make sure that you go and check and that all of your work makes sense. Take your time, make sure you're following all the rules, but you're going to see some weird numbers in this class. Just make sure that you're following the process and you're thinking through each step on what the appropriate thing is going to do. You remember, we start off, we identify the common information. What do we know about this problem? What can we infer about this problem? And then we put those two together to try to see if we can get some deeper understanding. But in this case, in order for this equation to have more than one real root, and in this case 2 real and distinct roots, the discriminant has to be greater than 0. And the only way that the discriminant is going to be greater than 0 is if k is greater than negative 57 over 24.